What's up, everyone? It's Jacob.
And Hannah.
Back here with another episode of Commerce Connects. Today, we have Annika Wooton. She is former Miss Kansas, social media influencer, all-around awesome person. Thank you for coming and sitting down with us. How did you get into the world of pageantry?
I got into pageantry when I was about 15 years old. Somebody in my community ran a local pageant and just said, like, you're already involved in your community. You do theater, so you have a talent. Really, all you need is a dress, and you can come compete. And you know, the promise of scholarship dollars when I was starting to think about college was pretty cool, and that was the spark. But I like to say I'm a really competitive person, but I'm not athletic. So this kind of filled that bucket for me, and I got hooked in a lot of ways, and kept going ever since.
Okay, so I guess. I obviously don't know the pageantry world.
Me either.
All I know is was the TV show what Honey Boo Boo was on, right?
Oh yeah,
yeah. See?
Not the same thing.
No, it's not.
I mean, same world, but definitely not what I did.
Jacob with the honey boo.
Hey man, that was my introduction to that world.
Yeah.
But so I guess what's the process of that? Because I know another girl, Mimi Fo.
Yeah.
She posted something the other day about like behind the scenes, like what they see versus what actually happens. So I guess in your world, what was your like prep to get ready for a pageant?
So I'll start with what you do see in the competition. And so I only ever competed in the Miss America organization.
Okay.
So there's definitely a distinction. Miss America and Miss USA are like the two big players.
Okay.
And there's lots of other different organizations. But I say it's kind of like NFL versus college football, like same sport, different leagues.
Yeah.
What you do see on stage for Miss America is right now the evening gown competition, fitness, which used to be swimsuit, talent, and onstage question. And then there's a private interview behind the scenes. But I think what a lot of people don't know is that it's a 365-day commitment to not only get ready for that part of the competition, but to serve your community and better yourself throughout the entire year. So in most states, you start with a local competition. You either win that and qualify, or you don't, and you keep competing in locals. And then once you have that local title, you get to represent that community and get to know them a little bit more throughout the year. So there's a lot of service work. Everybody has a service platform, so development on that. And then personal and professional development to really get yourself in the right space to potentially be the next Miss Kansas.
Okay. So I guess that makes sense because there's like Miss Wichita, Miss Derby, etc. And so then it goes to, I guess, how many like districts are there for that, like in Kansas?
Yeah, it depends year to year. There's different local directors and entities that run the pageants. But we have between 20 and 30 girls compete at the state level every year. And then there's the teen division as well. So they have a different kind of selection process for that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I couldn't that's just wild. So the like talent part of it, what like is your talent that you had for it?
So no matter what you do for Miss America Talent, it has to be done in 90 seconds.
Oh. I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
So tap dancing, karate demonstration, singing, 90 seconds. I mentioned I grew up in the theater, so I sang for several years, and that was not untrue to who I was. But my goal was to speed paint at Miss America.
Okay.
And so the first time I speed painted was in high school, and I didn't practice, and I did my first painting in 8 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And so I thought, if I practice a lot, I should be able to get it down to 90 seconds. So I started speed painting in pageants in 2014. Did that for a couple of years. Ended up going back to singing. So I won Miss Kansas as a singer.
Oh, okay.
But ultimately painted at Miss America.
Oh, wow. That's speed painting to me, and especially, like I was saying earlier, how you do it. Like we were saying, you do it all upside down. How? Like what prep goes into that? Because I can't even draw anything the right way. I'm not, that's my sister, my twin sister took all of that talent. She can draw, but like upside down within X amount of seconds, and then you flip it up. Like, what goes into that process?
Similar to pageants, like a lot more behind the scenes than what you see on stage. I think that the prep for speed painting is almost more important than when you see on stage.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Because especially when it's 90 seconds, it's choreographed.
Yeah.
I mean, I know at what point in the music I'm painting which piece of the
okay.
painting. So it's finding an image, also finding music or a background track that elevates that or completes the vision, right? But then like how few marks can you make to still look like Ruth Bader Ginsburg?
Yeah.
You know, and have that minimal aspect of the painting, both for time's sake and for like the coolness of the painting in the end product. And then there's speed and performance factor and seeing if you can really get it down to that 90-second mark.
That's incredible. Like I said, that's wild to me.
I'm still stuck on it. I can't. I'm just trying to think of like a stick figure and like how I draw it upside down.
Yeah.
It'd probably take me more than 90 seconds to complete that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's old art school tricks too. Like I went to University of Kansas and when you do portraits, they tell you to do it upside down because it abstracts the face. Because you think you know what you look like or what an eye looks like. But when you turn it upside down, you're focusing more on light and shape and shadow.
Oh, okay.
And so typically you can get a better portrait if you do it upside down, like as practice, because you're not looking at Jacob, you're looking at lights and shapes and shadows.
Wow. That's really intriguing. I wouldn't have even thought of that at all, that drawing that upside down would actually help you.
See,
And yeah.
I would say anytime I think about that is like that old like cartoon where it was like if you had the face this way, it was like the grandma, and then you flip it and it was like the young person.
Yeah.
That's all I can think about with like upside down faces. That's insane. I don't think,
And so to get it down to the time and the performance, how many times are you like essentially practicing that same artwork? Because like, do you have to do it? I mean, because
Yeah, when I was practicing for the 90-second time limit, I had 3 canvases and I would practice 3, let them dry, paint them over, practice 3. So I was using canvases over and over again. Or at one point I would prime the canvases in like a chalkboard paint and I would just paint in water so I could just wipe it dry and kind of get that movement. So yeah, I mean, 50, 60 runs of trying to figure out. Yeah. The first couple times I painted Ruth Bader Ginsburg, that was my Miss America painting. She looked like a potato. I mean, she did not look like Ruth. So it's definitely trial and error. And then once you figure it out, it's like locking that into muscle memory.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I mean, because like there is that entertainment aspect of it and that wow factor that wows me. Like when I see your videos online, I'm watching them all the way through because you do the whole flip over. I'm like, what?
Wait a second.
Like that. It's just crazy. So I mean, going into kind of the social media side, how like are those videos, kind of those painting videos, do those perform pretty well on like your social media platforms? Is that your favorite thing to post or kind of?
Yeah, I love getting the feedback on my painting videos. And similar to what you just said, like what I've learned is that if I post the flip first in the clip and then I go back to the beginning and show the process, that hooks people, right? Because if it's too long of it's upside down and they're not watching it live, it's like, what's going on? This looks stupid. And they'll swipe away. But if they see it flip to reveal Taylor Swift and then it goes back to a blank canvas, it's like, what?
Like, how did she do that?
How'd she do that? Yeah. So it's really fun to see people's reactions to that, or like what they thought it was before it was going to flip.
Yeah.
Those are some of my favorite things.
Yeah, that's fun.
Dude, I'm still just thinking about stick figures over here. But like do you get contacted quite a bit to like go out and do it live? Like I'm assuming like sporting events, like basketball games, stuff like that. Is that like your main like event that you go and do stuff like that at?
Yeah, it balances between sporting events like halftime shows and community foundation fundraisers, corporate events, things like that. But that also depends on my time limit. You know, like a WNBA halftime show is 6 minutes on and off the court versus doing kind of a cocktail hour painting for the KU Alumni Association. That could be over the course of an hour. So very different kinds of paintings and different levels of performance. But gives me lots of different options.
Which do you prefer?
Yeah,
oh, my
that's-
bad.
no,
I was
that
like,
was the
which
same
one?
question.
Yeah. Which do you prefer to do?
I love the thrill of like the fast,
Yeah.
you know, the true speed painting. There's so much energy that builds up to that moment, and the timing of having to get on and off a court with my entire painting setup is both really stressful and really exciting for me. And just like that rush of when I flip it and I hear the energy and the reaction of the crowd, it's like, and walking off just is like the best feeling. I love flipping the painting, but once I'm finished and I walk off and I just have that sense of accomplishment and relief, and then I actually get to look at the paintings because I'm so in the zone. And then afterward, I'm like, oh yeah, that does look pretty good.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That would be a thrill because like the audience is obviously wowed. Like, and then like you said, you're a competitive person, so being able to just get in there, do it, get out, and like accomplish it, like that's just got to be kind of. You just have to have the best feeling in the world for that.
2-part question.
Okay.
First one, what's your favorite place you've performed at? And then where is a place or an event that you would like to? Like, what's like your holy grail?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say in recent memory, my favorite event from this last year was actually Veterans Day. I got to perform at the Citadel College in South Carolina, sorry. And it was freezing, first of all. I was supposed to paint in the middle of the football field with the marching band, but it was freezing, raining, and the marching band got cut from the performance. Oh, wow. So at the last second, I had to find a different music track. Literally, like we're arriving at the venue, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what music I'm playing to yet. But what ended up happening was I got to be, instead of being in the center of the field, I was positioned right in front of the cadets. And their section was completely full.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those like, it's not ideal to be painting in freezing rain in unplanned for circumstances, but to be that close to like the people that I was honoring with the painting, and to also have that accomplishment at the end of it. I was like, I just painted in the freezing rain. This looks so cool. And to see their reactions on Veterans Day, that's one that like I'm never going to forget that moment.
That's special. Yeah, that's super special.
Yeah. And then I guess second part question, this is actually happening. So it's in my forefront. So my first WNBA halftime show.
Shout out WNBA.
Yeah, coming up on September 1st. And it's it's for the Connecticut Suns.
Yeah.
And it's in the Mohegan Sun, which is cool on its own.
Yeah.
But that's where I competed for Miss America.
Oh, that's awesome.
Full circle.
And so I had competed with my painting in prelim, and I made finals, but I got cut before the talent portion. So I never got to paint in the arena. So it's literally like redemption moment at the Mohegan Sun, first WNBA game. Like, there's going to be so many emotions.
Oh, that's going to be so awesome. Do you know who they're playing? Who the Connecticut Sun are playing?
I think so, but I don't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I've got it somewhere.
That's cool because obviously I'm a WNBA fan. So that's special. And like you said, the redemption factor, just going in there and just, that's going to be a special moment. I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
I'm definitely going to keep tracking up to date on that because that's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Hannah will be in the crowd.
Shoot, I might.
You can come be my assistant.
Yeah. Let me know because I sure will go.
Right.
I definitely will.
That'd be super cool. Yeah, that's one thing is like you don't really see the halftime shows. Like if you're watching it like not live, obviously. You don't really see it like that. I've never understood why they don't broadcast it because like some of the coolest stuff I've seen is the halftime stuff. Especially that's one thing I really like about WSU is like they invest in their halftime shows for the games. And so have you done
have you done WSU?
any WSU stuff?
I haven't.
You need to
Contact them because
for real.
I've seen like juggling people or the guy that balances ladders. Like, there's been so many like cool things that have happened there. I think that'd be one that you definitely should be doing.
Yeah,
I've
done K-State a couple years ago, but it was when I was small fry.
Oh, not small fry.
So, and I got connected with KU this year, and I told those folks, I was like, listen, huge bucket list is to paint for a KU basketball. I've sang the national anthem for men's basketball, but
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, I got to get those home state courts in the books.
So question about like that, like a halftime, like for WSU or KU, if you were to do WSU, hopefully let's do it.
Yeah.
What do you do with those paintings? Like where do they stay with the athletic department? Do you sell them? What happens to those paintings?
Yeah, so built in the contract, whoever hires me keeps the painting.
Okay.
And so they can do whatever they want with it. It can be displayed in their facilities or on campus. It can be raffled off, auctioned off. One of the ones I did this last year in Chicago was Taylor Swift and a portrait of Taylor Swift. And so they raffled that off. And so like a 17-year-old girl got a huge painting of Taylor Swift. Like that's the dream.
That's awesome.
So yeah, there's lots that could be done with it, but it's totally up to the venue or the client.
That's cool. Yeah, we need to get to WSU, and I kind of want the painting, so that's why I asked.
We can write that in.
Has to go to Hannah.
Hey, they played there. I'm an alum. They can spare one. You know.
That's awesome. Have you done like concerts, stuff like that?
Not yet. I've done like worship services in the past, stuff like that. But concerts also on my bucket list.
Yeah.
That would just be a different kind of energy. And also a difference if it's just kind of painting based on the vibe versus what I do right now, which is those choreographed, planned portraits or icons, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's like Snoop Dogg at his concert that he had here. There was Michelle Tripoli, I want to say her name is. She was up on stage painting there.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
then-
we have a couple artists in Wichita that do live painting.
Yeah.
But it's not like their focus.
Yeah.
It's more of the side
Yeah.
piece, and they do really great jobs.
Yeah, and so I think it'd be cool to like start tapping into that as like the Wichita music scene's growing, because it's an extra element. I mean, like of course you're there with the music and everything, and then also there's just someone going crazy speed painting in the back. Like that'd be wild.
That would be a show.
Dude, imagine a
Right.
Tech 9. Like he's just spazzing, and you're just back there.
Or like for next year, did you go to Elsewhere Fest?
Yeah.
That was here?
Yeah.
Like connecting and doing something like that with them, because it's a whole art scene, music scene. I think it's like that would be badass.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That'd be awesome.
Speed painting is just cool. And
There's
then
so
music,
many different, like there's stuff that feels obvious, like
Yeah.
painting in a concert, or in this case, the halftime shows. But there's so many creative ways that you can
Yeah.
plug in speed painting.
Yeah, and
Just
that's
got to do it.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's awesome. That's why I love that for you, because like it's just something that can be implemented really everywhere, and it's so entertaining. I could watch speed painting 20 times and still be amazed, because one, I can't do it, and two, it's just like that's talent. So
And it's different every time.
Yeah.
I mean, even if I paint the same thing,
it's gonna be a different.
the nature of the live aspect of it
Yeah.
is, I don't even know how it's going to turn out.
Yeah, no, that's so much fun. So how has like social media been able to enhance, like, one, when it comes to pageantry, two, speed painting, kind of just in the influencer realm that you've been, like, what has social media been a focus for you in order to kind of elevate all those aspects?
Definitely. Social media is something that I first started growing when I was starting in pageants. Especially when I was Miss Wichita was when I started really focusing on growing that following and having authentic connections with my followers. And that's when I hit like the 10K and kept growing from there. That was a huge milestone, right? And I felt like being able to be really authentic, just tell the different pieces of pageantry. When I was Miss Kansas, to have the platform and just share what I was going through as a title holder. And then something we haven't talked about yet is that I was the longest reigning Miss Kansas because they canceled the pageant during the pandemic.
Oh, okay.
So social media was the only thing I had really for several months in my second term. And so because of what I've grown and what I've established as a title holder, that has translated into where I'm at now as a painter, where so many of my followers have followed me since
then. Okay.
my easel fell over in 2015, to painting at Miss America, to doing my first shows in so many different ways, that there's so much more of an intimate connection that, like, I love sharing my painting videos, but it's when I share more of the intimate parts of my life that I get some more of that interaction and traction, because I feel like I know them.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. That's awesome.
So when it comes to social media as like a title holder, Is there any like restrictions? Is it weird? Because I know you take over an account, right?
Yeah, there's
Oh,
a
okay.
consistent Miss Kansas account, which when I was Miss Kansas, the collaboration feature didn't exist. Yeah. And so it was like, okay, I'm really only posting on that because I wanted to pour into that account and grow it. And now they have the collab feature, which is great, so they can promote their personal brand as well. There's definitely restrictions. Things that are really obvious, not posting with alcohol or any, lewd behavior. Hopefully you're not doing that as a title holder anyway. But there were some weird things like, I don't know if it's still in the contract, but once I submitted my Miss America headshot, I actually didn't own that headshot anymore. And so I posted it being excited, and I actually had to remove that post because it wasn't my property. And so like I had to post the next frame over that wasn't the official headshot. But other people were posting my headshot, and that was fine. So there were some weird things like that. And I think that there's maybe more rules now that social media has really blown up from a title holder's perspective just since I was crowned 5 years ago. But I do feel like I was kind of in that era of pioneering what it looked like to be a title holder on social media, which was cool.
Yeah, I didn't know if there was any like restrictions of like brands being within stuff. Like you have to take the labels off your water bottle if the water bottle's going to be in it. I didn't know if there was anything like that, like to where it's like you're not promoting
different brand deal type things that you have to be aware of.
Yeah, that was something that I started to run into because like Miss Kansas, Miss America is the original influencer. They had brand partnerships before that was a thing. And so that's something you have to be cognizant of. The Miss Kansas organization has really incredible sponsors that support whoever she is throughout the year. And, she lives at River Vista. She drives a Mel Hambleton Ford. She gets spray tanned at Liquid Sun. Like, these are all very established partnerships. Dayal Hair Salon has been doing Miss Kansas's hair since before I was born.
Wow.
Yeah. So, like, those kinds of things are something you do have to be very aware of. You're not cross-posting a different car brand or hyping up a different apartment complex, stuff like that.
I do have a question on that. So if you get Miss Kansas, do you have to live in Wichita then?
Yeah.
So you like if someone else, because you're not from you're not from Wichita? No. Yeah. So if you get crowned Miss Kansas, you have to move to Wichita. I guess that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Yeah. So the home of the competition is Pratt, Kansas.
Okay.
And we've been there forever. The unofficial home, just because a lot of our sponsors are here, is Wichita. And so when I was crowned, there wasn't an apartment sponsor. The day after I was crowned, they said, okay, can you find somebody, ideally in Wichita, that you can live with for a year? And because you're compensated, but it's not enough to pay for rent. And I was living in Lawrence at the time. And so what ended up happening for me is that my mom actually moved up here from Albuquerque, New Mexico, and lived with me for a year and sponsored my housing for my first year.
And she moved for
me.
For you? Oh, that's awesome.
To support me because there was nobody that I was going to be able to just like, hey, can I move into your basement? Like, no. And so my goal for my year as Miss Kansas was to find whoever the next person was a stable place to live. I was like, you're asking empowered, confident, educated women to travel the state by themselves, and yet they don't have a place to call home and like come back and recoup
wind
emotional,
down.
physical, all this stuff. And so literally in the midst of COVID pandemic, I made the connection with River Vista.
So that was you pretty much?
Yeah.
Oh,
Little did I know I was the person who was going to live there because I thought, I didn't know I was going to be there for 2 years. So I did. I got to be the first person to live at River Vista. And then now I think we're on the 4th Miss Kansas after me to live there and have that beautiful place to call home.
Because it's the loft upstairs, right? Those ones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, give me a locking door and a roof. That's it. And they really showed out. And that's been, I think, one of the biggest perks, but also just like, you have to, call Wichita home. But if that's the case, you're pretty set up.
Yeah.
And
that's awesome.
It's a nice spot, gated. It's River Vista.
Great view. Great view.
I was like, 'cause you used to live there, right?
Yeah. Great view. I mean, I don't know. I lived on, don't know. Where does the apartment? Well, I guess we probably can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
it's
Great view.
not-
Great view.
Yeah.
Great view.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that's awesome. Like having those sponsorships and everything like that. And then, so can you get, I guess, your own sponsorships outside of the company?
As Miss Kansas, everything has to be approved with the
Okay.
organization.
Makes sense.
Yeah, but if you were to have conversations, bring on a partnership that benefits the organization, it's approved. It's great for Miss Kansas to increase those
Yeah.
sponsorships. But as far as like what everyone else knows as influencer or brand collabs and those one-off things, it's not as common to
Yeah.
get approved. And there's lots of reasons behind that, but Miss Kansas organization has a good thing going. They've been doing what they've been doing for a really long time. And so now taking that kind of into the next era of social brand, whatever, has been really interesting to see how they've evolved.
Yeah. And
Because I
that's-
didn't know if you could get like a Factor's meal,
Oh,
stuff like
okay,
that,
yeah.
like to where it's like it's nothing crazy. I mean, just
Yeah.
food sponsorship stuff like that. Because I know, when it comes down to it, and you're having to pay for everything yourself, that a little bit extra
Well,
helps.
yeah.
And they're healthy.
Yeah.
Are they good?
Yeah. Oh, solid. Yeah, I did a Factor meal thing sponsorship, and
So I couldn't tell you. If they were
super solid.
Yeah.
I would pay my own money for them. I would.
Factor's meals. Sponsor the pod.
For real. No, but that's cool. And just knowing that, I'm hearing that you kind of started paving the way to kind of enhance the living situation and just situation in general for those next, crowned, the woman coming up after you. Like that's awesome. I mean, that's really cool in my opinion. Yeah.
Thank you. That was one of my biggest goals. Everyone told me that it wasn't possible, and I was like, cool. Again, there's that competitive edge. It's like, watch me.
It's like watch me do it because I'm about to. Yeah.
Yeah. So can you? I mean, I guess so you can compete like multiple times after, or is it frowned upon since like if you've already won? What's
Yeah. So you can only compete at Miss America once.
Okay.
And so you can compete at your state competition. I think right now the ages it's 18 to 28 or 26 in the Miss America organization. So the only reason I was Miss Kansas for 2 years is because they postponed the pageant.
Yeah.
Okay.
The loophole is if Miss Kansas wins Miss America, then the Kansas title is offered to the first runner-up. And then if she declines, like it goes down the runner-up list. So then the remainder of the year is finished out by the first runner-up, but she never went to Miss America, right?
Okay.
So if she turns out and she's still age eligible,
she
could be Miss Kansas. She could compete again. Does that make sense?
Okay, so kind of by
like by default?
by default you can be it, but then you can actually go back and win.
Yeah.
So you can compete again to win because you didn't actually win,
Right. And then you
Right
could go to
away.
Miss America.
and then you. Okay.
But you still have to recompete.
recompete for
But
everything.
that's like, that's a very rare situation.
yeah.
That's just wild. Like I'm just stuck on the fact that you lose your title if you go up. Like, cool, yeah, you won Miss America, but yeah, you can't be Miss Kansas no more.
No, you can't have both.
Because then you gotta do the Miss America stuff.
Ah.
Can't be both. You can't. You can't.
You got to represent the home state.
they're both
though.
full-
you're
full-time
always
jobs.
in the history
Yeah.
books, though.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool though. Did you see yourself like was being in the pageant world like a dream and a goal for you? I know you said you got started into it at a young age, but was that like your, I guess, goal at that time?
I don't know. I mean, I think I kind of fell into it and it
Yeah.
just became a part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember like being a kid
Yeah.
and thinking, oh, I want to be Miss America.
Yeah. It
But I
just fell
remember
in.
watching the Oscars and watching
Yeah.
Miss America and dressing up with my mom, but it was never like the thing,
The thing
that
to
I
do.
wanted.
Yeah.
It was more just as I continued and got further into it, it just became a piece.
Yeah.
That's what I did every summer, the first week in June.
Yeah.
And so when I started college and I knew I wanted to be Miss Kansas, now I thought I was going to win on my first year out.
Mm-hmm.
That did not happen. I competed every year I was eligible,
Yeah.
aged out, and then they extended the age range by 1 year.
Oh, okay.
And so lucky number 7 for me, my very, very final year competing was the year that I won.
Oh, wow.
and then had my extendo year. So I've been doing it for quite a long
So
time.
that worked out.
Yeah.
That's cool. I mean, that's just cool that you got to. I mean, obviously the circumstances,
Wouldn't wish it on
wouldn't
anybody.
wish it. Yeah, but I mean, just being able to fulfill that role for 2 years, that's really cool. You're gonna be the only one who does it in that circumstance. So hopefully.
Hopefully. Right. Right.
Hopefully. So in that world, mention Honey Boo Boo. Is there you got coaches? I'm assuming so. You got so have you thought about being a coach, or are you already a coach for that world?
Yes. Yeah, I am a coach.
Okay.
Yes. I work with Crown the Nation, and we coach nationwide. We've worked with girls from Alaska to Maine, Hawaii, and we've had some pretty good success.
Nice.
A lot of folks in the pageant world are familiar with Avery Bishop, and she was top 5 at Miss America. She represented Texas, and now she's running for legislature in Texas as well. So she just really rocked the boat in a lot of ways, and we were fortunate to work with her up to her state win, and a little bit before Miss America. Things just get really hectic after states. But yeah, we coach virtually most of the time, but we have a studio space here in Wichita where girls, whether they're local or they fly in, will come in for boot camps and we'll do in-person stuff. But that was, as I got toward the end of my pageant journey competing, I realized I wanted to stay involved, but I definitely didn't want to compete anymore. And I didn't really want to get into the side of being on the board or the admin part of the pageant. And so being able to mentor the next generation of girls, having been in their shoes from placing, not placing, first runner-up, winning, COVID. I say the only place I haven't been is being Miss America. I've been in every other point of the process. So I think I bring a unique perspective.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Coaching. That's cool. Being able to like you said, you've been at those stages, being able to give that advice and everything. I didn't know that was a major thing, but it also makes sense.
Yeah.
It's developed over the years, and I think it's more common in Southern pageantry to have a holistic coach. In Kansas, for a lot of years, you really only had a coach for your talent. So a vocal coach, choreographer for dance. And just in the last, I would say 5 years, it's gotten more normal to have coaches for interview and mindset and paperwork. And so there's several in Kansas. Like I said, there's different different systems that have their different expertise.
Yeah.
And, I think it's good to have several coaches available, especially in the Midwest.
Oh, yeah.
You see who you drive with and see if it works.
Yeah. No, that's, I've seen the movies that go behind pageants and stuff. So,
yeah.
That's
Miss
really
Congeniality is a big one, right?
Hey, I've seen that a lot. And I don't know how accurate is that movie?
I don't know. It's definitely got its truths. There's no FBI behind the scenes that I know of. Hopefully no exploding crowns.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, good to know. Yeah.
I don't know. There's the beauty standards, and Miss America, we say the pendulum swings.
Yeah.
And we had a 2.0 era that pendulum swung this way. Now we're going back toward the glamorous beauty and educated and service minded. It's always been this very well-rounded person. But I think the discipline that it takes to, maintain your fitness, to present yourself in a red carpet format and in an interview format and playing with kids in the hospital, all of those things, even though some of them are driven by, different beauty standards or what you want to present yourself as, all of that plays into the real world, especially as women. You have to know how to present yourself or make educated choices if you're going against the grain.
Yeah. So true. Yeah. That's kind of I guess not every extracurricular thing that for me, sports, it translated well into life. For you, it's great to have that aspect of your life that can translate into life that. Obviously you get, you were taught so many, I'm sure so many, things that have helped you right now and will help you in the future just from being in that pageant world for so long.
Right.
So, that's cool.
Yeah. And I think, so Miss America started in 1921. It was the original pageant. And it started as a swimsuit competition in Atlantic City to bring tourism to the boardwalk.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so it's evolved where, it was pretty much just a swimsuit competition to being more of your traditional beauty pageant, to having a talent, to being service minded, to awarding scholarships.
Yeah.
Like we're the largest scholarship provider for women in America.
Wow.
And all of those things have evolved with the times. But back in the day, there were so few ways for women to be successful or to gain notoriety and have that like independent career. And one of those major ways was getting into media, whether that was TV or music. And Miss America was like the beeline to get there. And so now I think there's a lot of criticism around beauty pageants because of the beauty aspect, and also because it's seen as antique and, behind our times. But I just think that there are so many more options for women to succeed in our world today.
Yeah.
That of course you don't have girls going in droves to beauty pageants because that's not the only option.
Yeah.
And if you want to be in that space, great.
Yeah.
That space is there. We're not shocked that we had to be on stage in a swimsuit. We signed up for it.
Yeah.
And if that's not something you're interested in, pick a different avenue. It's there.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah,
like that.
that was the one thing, like seeing, I mean, as every industry hits its like curveballs and speed bumps, all that other stuff, but like the people trying to create controversy around like the perfect image, stuff like that, where it was like that whole movement, it was like, if you don't understand the game, don't try to play it.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of where my eyes were with it. It's like, obviously I'm not going to win no swimsuit competition, but I know I'm not going to enter. Like I understand. It was just one of those weird things to me where people try to make so much of like a stink about it.
Yeah.
But also it's like, oh, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But it's changed too. I mean, granted, we don't have swimsuit anymore. We have fitness, which is a much more accurate reflection of today's standards in lots of ways.
100%.
But it has to start from the local level up,
Yeah.
right? If you don't have different body types and different backgrounds and different everything competing at local, you're never going to have a Miss America that isn't the mold because you don't have a pool to pull from.
Yeah.
So it's up to the local and the state organizations to push that boundary and create an environment and standards that does welcome different kinds of backgrounds, presentations, beauty standards, what have you.
Yeah, no, it's cool. It's an intriguing space. And I mean, like we've said, I have known nothing about it other than the couple, I mean, obviously social media, that's why social media is so cool, because I have been able to be educated and even this year, like see who the, Miss Kansas is. And social media is the way that I can see it. And I mean, that's, really cool because I wouldn't have been educated in it if it wasn't for social media.
Yeah.
So
you get a different perspective.
Yeah.
And every girl has a different story to share.
yeah.
And so like, I don't know, if you're not familiar with pageants or a title holder of any sort, like just follow somebody or ask them. If you see someone with a crown at an event, like they want to share their story. And that's truly it. Everybody has a story and everybody's out here. Yeah, there's a glamorous aspect to it. We wouldn't compete for a title if we didn't want that, right?
Yeah.
But what pairs with that is, like in my case, I was advocating for arts education and funding in the community.
Yeah.
Our current Miss Kansas, Alexis Smith, is advocating for healthy relationships. Courtney Wages last year works for Envision. She was advocating for the blind and visually impaired. Like everybody has these incredible platforms. And unless you talk to them or you take the opportunity to follow and like listen to their stories, you would have no idea what's behind the crown.
Yeah. And it just gives a way to highlight a strong, incredible woman. You know what I'm saying? Like that space, like we're highlighting someone who, has the discipline, the education, the passion for what they do and the talents that they have. And it gives a way to highlight somebody and someone that's, wanting change for the better. So I think that's a really cool aspect of the whole entire pageant thing. And then if you follow the pageants, there's many, women, especially in the local level that, are as well someone that can be highlighted. And it's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I followed this girl from Arkansas. She was competing in like that industry, and it was cool to see She did a lot of like behind the scenes stuff, and like that was just like her big push was like the mental health, but also like fitness. And like she would always highlight like her going to the gym or like giving tips and tricks on like how to like get in shape for like the fitness parts of the competition. So yeah, I think social media is like in my eyes going to be like very impactful for like even doing like future stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
So I think the more people can show the behind the scenes of what's going on, like, the more people will understand. So, because they do like individual videos for like the pageant people for Kansas, right? Like like behind the story or like behind the scenes videos of them like talking about their stories and whatnot.
A little bit.
Okay.
They amped up their presence this year.
Yeah,
a
that's
lot.
what I was saying.
Yeah. Or they have a posting schedule, like prompts for all the girls. So on Monday they share this, on Tuesday they share this. And so that's pretty cool because you kind of know what to expect coming out, and you can learn a little bit about everybody who's competing.
Yeah, because that's one thing. Like I've never been to a pageant, so it's like I would.
You should come.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
That's like, how long are they? I have really bad like ADHD to where if it's like 4 hours, dude, I'm
No.
cashed.
Well, so it's the first week in June in Pratt, Kansas.
Okay.
There's typically 2 preliminary nights, which is like Friday, Saturday, or Thursday, Friday. Saturday, there's a parade. And then Saturday night is finals. And so it's a 2-hour show. Our producer runs a pretty tight ship. There's intermission in between. So
Okay.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
And there's a talent show.
Yeah, there's talent in the middle.
Oh, it's so game.
Heck yeah. Okay.
Our current Miss Kansas is a ventriloquist.
Yes,
I
I
seen
saw
that.
that.
Yeah. And so
Dude.
her talent, it's the auctioneer. And so auctioneers already talk fast.
Fast. So
And then
she
she's
does
got
a big-
2 puppets and they're auctioneering. It's incredible.
That's wild. I'm gonna have to look that up because I saw a picture of her with that, but I didn't know it was an auctioneer. So you're speaking really fast, but your mouth's not moving
Right.
Wow.
Crazy.
Incredible.
Y'all need to have her on the podcast. She'll bring her little friend.
Yeah.
We have a guest the whole time, and it's just
We should.
she like has her arm like tucked over.
Oh my gosh. We need to tee that up because that would be fire. Okay.
I'm sitting
Yeah.
on the desk next. Ask him the question or them, whichever one she brings. and
Right.
The question.
ask the questions direct. The whole pod, she has to go ventriloquism.
That
Hey,
would be
I
tough.
think she'd be up for it.
That's awesome. Okay, so other than, you had the pageantry, speed painting, social media influencer, do you have anything kind of upcoming that you're excited about that you can share, whether it's an event, really anything? Is there anything you're excited for that you can share kind of with everybody?
Well, the WNBA game in Connecticut, that's like my next big thing that I'm starting to practice for it, getting really hyped.
What do you, if I can, you can't probably answer if I ask what you're.
It'll be a portrait of a player.
Oh, I'm going to have to ask you after this.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
Yeah. Yeah. And like now that it's upside down, I don't know. I think that's cool because even if I try and keep a lot of the identifying features to like the end of the painting.
Yeah.
And so people who know that I'm painting it upside down, but then they're like, I still couldn't tell what it was until you flipped it. And that's really cool to me. But yeah, personal stuff. I'm planning a wedding. So
yeah. Congratulations on that. That's awesome.
yeah. So I picked out my dress this weekend. And
Oh,
I know.
congrats.
Thank
That's
you.
special.
It's
That's
just
special.
like amidst everything that I have that's very flashy and public and all that stuff, like the wedding piece has been very soft and special. And, I've shared some pieces of it, but a lot of the planning and prep has been very private. So yeah, it's a different chapter right now in lots of ways and just like interspersed between what I'm doing and like, oh yeah, this time next year I'm going to be married.
Yeah,
Like, that's so cool.
awesome. That's great.
So you're planning on doing it sooner rather than later? Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's coming up less than 300 days. I'll say that.
Okay.
That is-
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Bailey and I said we'll push it.
Yeah, everyone's getting engaged over here.
Yeah.
Sorry, Hannah.
Single. Shout out DM. No, I'm just kidding. don't do that.
Well, yeah. So we're going like 2 years out. That's kind of where we're at.
Yeah. Wedding planning's a beast. I'll say that for sure.
See, we did to ease that all. I think we're gonna travel, do like an elopement thing, and
Yeah.
really just keep it budget friendly. That's kind of been my biggest goal.
Yeah, because that wedding, my sister, twin sister, got married. It's been several years, but I remember her like wedding planning, and it was good, pretty smooth for the most part. But there can be some very stressful times in that. So, yeah, I know that's a lot on your plate, but also that's what an amazing thing to be able to do to plan and share, the best day of your life with the person that you love. Like that's awesome.
I'm excited.
Yeah, it's gonna be so much fun.
So
We can get an invite. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah, right. Live stream.
We'll bring the podcast.
Well, if you need video, Swift Wedding
Actually,
Films,
yeah.
let us know.
Yeah.
Weddings, I love them. Like that's one thing.
Yeah, because that's what you're
like a lot of people don't really know. Like that's my weekends most of the time. Is every weekend I'm blessed to be at people's weddings, and so which was cool to like get a preview of venues and like how you can make the venues look cool. If I was gonna have a wedding here locally, but now that we want to go do an elopement, I'm like, all my research is done.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't really matter.
Are you getting? Is it going to be here locally?
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is it going to be like a destination wedding,
Kind
or
of.
somewhere where like you have family?
I keep saying it. It reminds me of Genovia. I mean, we talked about Princess Diaries before.
Yeah.
So I keep saying it's my version of Genovia. But that has been challenging because I had kind of thought, oh yeah, if I get married in Wichita, like I have so many resources.
Yeah.
Like there's so many businesses I've connected with at this point. And so it's been a different challenge. I mean, it's been fun to explore a different like locale and what they have to offer.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of vendors that I had hoped to support that I'm like,
Yeah.
oh,
Like,
it's a little outside of
yeah.
our radius, you know?
Aw, that's going to be fun though.
Yeah.
I'm excited for you. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're busy then. Yeah. WNBA
Keep him
game,
busy.
wedding.
The fall's going to pick up with painting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a goal to paint internationally by the end of the year. So,
Oh, that'll be
anybody
fun.
listening to this podcast,
Yeah.
even if it's in Canada, that's
Hey.
that's crossing the border. So, I've got some big goals for myself artistically, and hoping to rock that stuff out before the close of the year.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, just because I'm curious, on social media, I follow you on Instagram and stuff. Are you on TikTok a little bit?
A little bit.
Are
I
you-
exist on TikTok.
Yeah. Do you really is Instagram your kind of main platform that you push a lot?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've got Instagram that translates to Facebook. I try to be on TikTok,
Yeah.
and then I post my full length videos on YouTube.
Okay, so a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Would I be accurate to say Instagram's your favorite then?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Do you do mainly phone content or do you camera?
Mostly phone. I do have a little Sony AX6000.
A6000.
A6000, yeah.
A6000.
I gotta look at the camera guy.
It's like
Yeah.
this big. It's actually really funny because I had no idea it had a flash for 2 years.
Oh yeah, and then it pops up.
Yeah. Well, because I would press the button, but nothing would happen. Like it was just kind of stuck. And then one day I was like, yeah, there's this flash button, but it doesn't work. And then it popped up. I was like, what?
Surprise.
Yeah. So that was like blessing during COVID because I would just do self-timer, or like connect it to the app on my phone. But that's pretty much it. I got a cute little gimbal for my phone and
Okay.
it works.
Run with that. I love it. Cool.
Phone content is like that, and that's why I always tell people like the A6 or the A6000, the A6300s, like the more budget friendly Sonys are always great. I know Taylor just got like the NEX whatever, but it's like the new version of those, and they're great cameras.
Yeah. And they fit in your purse.
Or your pocket. Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Or your
pocket. Depends on how big pockets you have.
That's true.
That's true. I guess you guys have purses, we have pockets.
There you
That's
go.
the trade-off.
Exactly.
That's another thing I don't want to get into. The pockets on, or the lack of pockets that you guys get it's
there's
sad.
no pocket space.
Dude.
My wedding dress has pockets.
Does
That
it
was
really?
that was a selling point.
Oh, that's perfect then. You
The
can
little snackies in
yeah,
there.
snacks.
Yeah.
Get your phone.
Right.
You're
Yeah.
ready.
Yeah.
That's gonna make the day even easier.
Honestly.
Yeah.
I was talking to Bailey and I'm like, I found this pair of shorts that I have has a pin pocket in the back pocket. Like it was a small,
that's cool.
Dude, I just randomly, and it's like already a set of cargos, so I already have a bunch of like
So many
pockets.
options.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then she goes, must be nice to have one pocket. And I was like, honestly, I'm gonna start sewing pockets into like clothes.
We get sewn shut pockets half the time.
Right.
Like the
And
fake
half my-
pockets.
Yeah.
Like, what the heck?
Why?
I need to change
That's
my style.
rude. That is so rude.
I need to go more baggy on my style so I have freaking pockets.
Right.
Oh, well.
That is insane.
We got really derailed on that one.
Yeah, we
Hey,
did. Oh, well.
But
you know.
it's facts.
It
It's
is.
facts. Make
Add
more pockets.
100%. But yeah, no, those cameras are great. And then also the phone. That's what I always try to tell people is like, just shoot, like no matter what, just shoot content. Like if you don't have a camera, no big deal. I mean, that's one thing we're doing with our Commerce Connects page is trying to do more phone content as well, just because it takes less time to edit. You don't have to, and it hits a whole different demographic.
Right.
Like I feel like if there's like an interview style clip of, let's say, like a pageant person, and versus like on the phone versus the camera, I'm gonna feel more connected to the phone one because it just feels more organic.
Yeah.
Or if it's like a selfie style video where they're talking about their day, like having it be more organic. Like yes, there's a time for professionalism. I mean, with like the testimonials that we shot, it's like yeah, you can shoot that on your phone, but also the way it's going, like on the website stuff like that, definitely go camera. So.
Yeah. I used to get really hung up on like wanting more professional content.
Yeah.
Especially with my painting videos. I'm like, I don't know. But then I just like gave into it. You know, I just would set up my phone on the corner of the arena or wherever, and whatever came out of it is what it was.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, just like taking out the restrictions that I was putting on myself. Just post something.
Yeah, just post.
Put it out there.
Yeah, that's the main advice that I see a lot of people give and I receive is like, just post. Like, because someone's going to relate to it and you just, just post. It's going to be good. Our phones nowadays are awesome.
Right.
You know, they record great. Cameras are great. So whatever you have, the content you have, if you like it and you resonate with it, post it. Yeah. But so speaking of all that advice, what type of advice would you give someone who is wanting to go to the pageantry world and doing like painting, artist, speed painting, and obviously you can answer those separate or together. It's up to you.
Sure. Advice I would give to somebody getting into pageants is do your research beforehand. There are several different like pageant systems. I mentioned Miss USA, Miss America. There's Miss Volunteer America. There's NAN. There's US of A. Like I could go down the list. Your three big players are America, USA, and Volunteer America.
Okay.
And they all kind of hit different things you see on stage, different looks of what your year is going to look like, the service commitment, all of that. So before you dive into something that ultimately costs a little bit of money to get yourself in the game, do some research and see like where you want to toe dip into the organization. And if you don't know, reach out to me. I'm happy to help, give you information or guide you a little bit depending on what you're looking for. And then just take the leap.
Yeah.
For Miss America, there's only a certain amount of time you have to chase that dream. And that's what kept me coming back. It's like, what if I don't show up on year 5 and that was my time? And I just decided not to be there,
Yeah.
And so I think you can learn something from any experience you have, especially those that put you outside of your comfort zone. So
Love that.
that's my advice there. For folks who are interested in getting into any kind of art, but especially performance art, is also kind of just take time to explore and develop your own style. There is not a blueprint for speed painting. And that has both been a blessing and a curse. But it really forces you to figure out who you want to be, the kind of art you want to create, and also lean on other speed painters. Like if that's something that you really are interested in, I think that most of us are more than willing to help foster this small group of people. But also there's lots of ways to contribute your art to the community that's not necessarily a 5-minute performance.
Yeah.
Well, anything else that you have coming up, or like any other advice?
Yeah. I'm kind of a jack of all trades. I've got a lot going on a lot of the time, but yeah, I'm really thankful to call Wichita home amidst all of it. We talked about Miss Kansas kind of having to move to Wichita, and I thought I was going to be in and out. Like I thought I was going to come here for 1 year.
Yeah.
Be like,
And-
deuces. You know, I was going to put 5 cities in a hat and pick one and just go.
Yeah.
And then COVID happened and I sat still for like the first time in my life and met a man, fell in love. But I also fell in love with the city.
Yeah.
And there's been so much that has blossomed out of Wichita in the last couple of years. I did not expect to live here for longer than 12 months. I did not expect to love it here.
Yeah.
And I am so fortunate to be able to travel the country. But then when I come home, it's in Kansas.
Yeah.
And a lot of my my career and my success has started here, which I think is really, really cool. And when I go big performances and places like, oh, where are you from? I'm like, Kansas. What? And yeah. So I guess, you know, another unsolicited piece of advice is Kansas is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I think we do have a lot of opportunity here. There's a lot of people that want to see us succeed or see you succeed.
Yeah.
And just seeking out those opportunities and letting people help you. And then if you do leave, like, don't forget about us. Give us a good rep.
I love that.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing is seeing like the amount of influencers and just people succeeding in whatever field it is. I mean, it doesn't even have to be influencers. I mean, we have local businesses that are reaching national scale.
Yeah.
Argentina's Empanadas, they're on that national food truck
Yeah.
race TV show.
Amazing. Yeah.
Like, there's so many cool things happening that, I mean, I think Lily Wu said it best, like, people just need to know.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the biggest thing about social media is, like, you don't have to be sitting there posting, like, what food you're eating 24/7. But, like,
Yeah.
if you're doing something cool, show it off. Like, don't be afraid to. So,
And advocating for the city. Because I
Yeah.
think we're all kind of in that field where we want to show Wichita and show, you know, Kansas that this is a really cool place. Or else I don't think any of us would be currently living here right now.
Yeah.
Because,
Right.
you know, we're in the industry of, you know, we can kind of do something else if we wanted to. So it's like we wouldn't be here if this wasn't a place you could grow. And I love the people. I love Wichita. So it's
Yeah.
definitely, I think, you know, being a huge advocate of your city and then helping other influencers. Like, you know, that's one of the reasons why we started this podcast. We want to highlight people in the city, people outside of the city, and say, hey, these people are doing some really cool stuff. This is their story.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
yeah, I love it. So, where can they find you on socials?
Annika Wooton. I've got a weird name, so even if you spell it wrong, you'll still probably find me.
I have a question on this.
Yes.
I hope it's not a bad question. So, your name, you know, is prevalent to your brand.
Yeah.
Are you changing your last name?
That's actually really funny you asked that because I was practicing my new signature this morning. I am changing my last name for like my life, my personal
yeah.
life. But Annika Wooton will be
Still be
the
your
painting
brand. Okay. I'm always interested in people of influence that, you know, like I don't know if I would ever change my name. I mean,
Yeah.
because everyone knows Hannah Mortimer.
Right.
Same with you. So it's kind of like,
Yeah.
do you change it?
I told my mom this weekend, I was like, you know, y'all did a really good job. I have a really cool name.
Yeah, you do.
It's hard to change it.
Yeah.
But yes,
Okay,
I'm looking forward to being Mrs. Burke.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, I interrupted that
No,
with a
you're
question.
good.
That was
Anyway,
right
yeah.
on the top.
Oh, no.
That was right on
I
the
would
top.
say
Follow me on
I mean,
socials.
yes, that's a good thing to.
I'm on pretty
that's a
much
good
everything
question.
except for X.
Oh, Twitter.
Yeah. So Annika Wooton, ANNIKA WOOTON. Last name, all O's. Yeah. I subscribe on YouTube. I don't post a ton, but when I do, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. No, I love it. Love
That's
it.
awesome.
Yep.
Hannah,
Hand got handles
Yeah.
on everything. So
there you go. And make sure you guys follow the podcast at Commerce Connects.
let's go.
Cool. Thank you for coming
Thanks
on.
again.
Thank you.